Welcome to the Retail Navigator podcast, where we're charting the course for retail growth. Join us as we bring together retail industry leaders, economic development professionals, and real estate investors to share the strategies driving success in today's retail landscape. We cover subjects like selection secrets, city incentives, and lease negotiation wins. This podcast is about navigating the insights that matter most to retail professionals and commercial real estate investors.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Retail Navigator podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Gazan, and today we have Nate Minnis with Smallest. Nate, welcome to the show.
Thank you much. Appreciate being here.
Absolutely. I saw you guys at ICSC and I thought it was a really cool concept. And since then, I've actually seen a few pop up around town here in DFW. Tell us a little bit about the brand, a little bit about you and your role at Smalls.
Yeah, I've been here a little bit over 2 years now. So that's been a lot of fun. When I started, there were 7. We actually are opened number 32 today in Houston, Texas. So very excited about that. We have a little over 350 sold franchise agreements. So a lot of work cut out for us. And we signed 50 leases last year. We're about to be on pace for another 50 this year, which is really exciting for a young growth company to be able to get out there and battle the other small footprint users in this environment that we live in with the retail struggles and land and everything else that we work through daily. But yeah, Smalls is a 750 square foot modular building where we have a drive-through and a patio, and we sell sliders, fries, quesos, and shakes. And the beautiful part of it is it's not just a premium product, but we make it fresh and made to order every single time. And actually, just a quick story, I had some brokers at ICSC and had tried the sliders, and I asked them if they had tried the queso, and they said, no, we didn't try that. And I got an email just a couple days ago saying, please don't come to Orlando. We will eat all of the queso. We will probably gain a lot of weight, but it is so delicious that we had to take even more home. It's not just sliders, but the queso and the fries are just top-notch premium products also.
Awesome. And when you say 750 square feet modular building, that's shipping containers, right?
So the can on top is a shipping container. It's used twice, technically, one time things, and the second time is to ship our parapet and some of our signage and such in that from the modular vendor. And the actual modular building itself is not a shipping container. It is actually constructed steel, and then bills and utilities and everything run through it.
That's incredible. And you sit on what size lots? Right, we're looking at a third acre, a quarter acre, because it seems to be like a trend recently to get smaller and smaller on the footprint in retail.
Yeah, and we're going the same direction. Concrete and asphalt is just expensive today. And so our smallest is 0.26 acres. And I think that comes out to 11,000 square feet. But then we are really focused around that half acre or less. Our sweet spot, if we can get to a third of an acre to a half acre, it's a good site for us.
That's great. And so Salad to Go and Dutch Bros is what's coming to mind when I'm thinking very small footprint, but they're exclusively drive-through. Is that the same case for you guys, or do you have dine in or dine out or anything else?
So we have an 800 square foot patio that people enjoy, and we have fans out there, music, and with about 32 seats, we have the walk up, we have the drive-through, we have first party delivery, and we have third party delivery.
That's awesome. And like I said, I've seen them around town. They squeeze in right with all the other retail. It doesn't look cheap or anything. The shipping container on top definitely attracts attention. And your colors are like bright orange kind of thing, right? So definitely very attractive.
It's a billboard for sure. Do I need a monument and pylon sign when I have that can sitting up there and invisible? And the answer is yes, you still need the monument and pylon. But at the same time, to your point, we really use the can on top for 3 things. One is screening for our HVAC and everything up on the roof, but for our signage and then for our branding. Like everyone knows Smalls by the orange can. And then, of course, the product just follows up with keeping everyone excited and wanting more.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is where my operations hat kicks in. Like we manage commercial real estate, and I'm thinking if I put that shipping container on the roof and the AC units are inside, everything's protected, the roof is protected, there's extra layer of protection on top of the building. Do you guys see that in the cost of operation, some sort of a reduction in the amount of damage that happens to the roof?
We don't, it's a very small roof as it is, but yeah, no, it's all about cleaning out the grease, and we have not had any roof issues. It actually was one of my concerns coming from a Mongolian concept at one point in my life where you can tell if you're not cleaning that grease off that roof. I had a landlord that showed me our roof compared to the rest of the shopping center,
Mhm.
and I was like, that's a problem, right? But
Yeah,
with the cans just protecting more wind and removing that visibility to the HVAC and everything in the hood system. So it's not necessarily impacting because it's sitting on top of the roof instead of
got
holding it all within the can.
got it. Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What did you do before? How'd you end up with Smalls?
Yeah, I've been in franchising a little over 20 years. I started washing windows at Subway, and I just kept on falling in the next opportunity with franchisees. I work on trust and work hard, and I've just been able to go from operations and working on the local side into getting into the area developer side with Subway. And then Jimmy John's gave me the opportunity to get into the real estate. And for me, I need to fly. I need to be out and about. I can't sit and do the same thing every day. And real estate, as you probably know, is not the same thing every day. And so when the
Yes.
opportunity to get out of operations and complete the checklist every 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., right? That routine, I really jumped on that opportunity. They're like, we're going to pay you to travel and learn markets. I said, that sounds like a really good idea. So I took that opportunity. And so overall, I've worked with 15 different franchises. My last company I was with, we had 5 different franchises that we supported and got to work through real estate, design, construction. And really, this role is quarterbacking. So, like I said, a couple of years ago, our franchise sales VP and he and I have known each other for since I've gotten into the business 18 years ago in real estate side. And he's, hey, I think you're perfect for this role. The other part that I like to share out there, just because it's confirmation of my career, is I got to work with Drew Brees on his first 3 Jimmy Johns in New Orleans. And it was a real privilege to do that. And Drew is an investor into our capital group that's investing in us. And to make it full circle, right back to working with him and just did his second deal in Elmwood. Definitely exciting. I've seen it from when I started at Jimmy John's, there's 200 locations. I grew it up to 1,500 and then I've worked with mature companies like Great Clips, which amazing company, love their culture, but it wasn't very exciting. It wasn't like emerging. It was very mature. And like I said, I need to get out and I really want to utilize my experience and be able to work with franchisees and make an impact, not just to the franchisees, but to the communities and to the staff and everyone else. So yeah, that's why I'm here at Smalls and exciting to lead this. And to your point, I love our location. I love our booth. And it's been a lot of fun to experience to manage that process. As I've been a part of it in my past, I wasn't necessarily the decision maker and the lead on it. And here I have been. So it's been a lot of fun to be a part of new processes also, because this is technically my first only ground up retailer that I've worked with. I've done Jimmy John's with build up and such, but it was never QSR ground up like we are with Smalls and modular building. So all new experiences here, and that's been really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, your booth was very popular. It was one of the biggest ICSCs ever, and your booth was very popular. So I'm sure you didn't sleep much in those few days of ICSC.
I gave over 1,000 business cards, and I think we handed out over 1,500 site criteria sheets and marketing flyers. So yeah, it's been really good to get the follow up. One of the conversation pieces that we talked about in the past is key takeaways for retailers. And the one thing I tell everyone is I will respond to your email, as long as it doesn't say unscribe at the bottom. And I think
Yeah,
everyone should live by that.
yes, sir. When you look at your organization, you guys are growing and you're growing fast, you're going into new markets. How do you, as a young retail brand, look at markets out there and decide, I'm going to go to Dallas, but not to Oklahoma City. I'm going to go to Phoenix, but I'm not going to go to, I don't know, San Diego. What is your thought process about selecting the next market that you're going into?
Yeah, I think it comes down to time, resources, and franchise interest. Going into California right now is a beast, right?
Yeah.
It's just a challenging, and we're one person real estate department. So from a resource standpoint, that just doesn't make sense to go there. But for Phoenix and Texas and other markets, we wanted, so our growth came from Baton Rouge and on LSU campus, and we wanted to stay south. We wanted to really stay southeast in the beginning because there are a lot of metropolitans, a lot of markets that we fit the criteria fits in. And but then we get a franchise interest. And when that happens, you say, okay, does this make sense? Can we do this from a resource standpoint? But also, can we do it from a supply chain? And is this the right time to do it? In Texas, we're open or we've sold from Phoenix all the way over to North Carolina. We've done a couple Midwest states, but we're staying away from DC and North and West Coast. And it's just, again, same thing. It's we have a lot of land to work with. We don't need to try to get into those metropolitans. Plus, is it worth our time and resource to try to get into Jersey where they're just not doing drive-throughs right now? And to get through an SUP is a year from now. And with a young growth company, you're looking to get those royalties going and to
Yep.
get open locations and branding. So that's the overall picture on how, at least in my experience, brands have looked at opening up new markets and how to grow that out.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes total sense, right? When you're a smaller real estate department, s- you can't spread yourself too thin. And you said you do about 50, you're planning on doing 50 this year, right?
Yep.
That's a lot for a very small department. Being there, negotiating everything, working with contractors, working with brokers, working with the franchisee. There's just so many moving pieces. It makes sense to niche down and focus on the close to home. And where is home base, by the way, for the company?
Yeah, we moved now to Atlanta. And so 10 Point Capital, who supports us, is also owns Walk-Ons. And so both brands are here in Atlanta.
Got it. And so when you get to a market, let's say DFW, Austin, Houston, any one of the big markets you're getting into, what is the strategy? Let's say it's the first time you're going into this market. Do you start from the franchise, let's sell a franchise and have the franchisee lead the effort? Do you start with, let me find a local broker and work with them to identify their locations? What's the thought process? Where do you guys start when you pick a market and you go into it?
Yeah, fortunately, at this point, I have a lot of that market knowledge. I've done multiple brands in these cities and worn different hats. And so our market plan is relatively simple for us at Smalls because I already have the market knowledge. Now, if I back it up 18 years ago and I was working here at Smalls and they said, hey, we want to sell Austin. Do you have a market plan? The first thing I would do is, and in today's environment is a lot different. Back when I was starting, I had paper maps. I would stop at the gas station, get a paper map, and start drawing all over it. In today's world, it's a little bit different. But what you should always market plan, and something that we say a lot, I say a lot, is plan the work to plan. So, what is the plan? You can't go sell Austin without knowing how many locations you're planning on putting there. And so, what I typically do is I go and with Smalls, you can do two parts. You can somewhat do real estate from an aerial. And I think you should actually, because you never know what you're missing because it's hidden behind trees or over a hill that you didn't go over, whatever the case may be. And when I look at an aerial for Smalls, we're really focused on dense local and regional retail areas. And I say that because we know that the local residents are going to come to us, but with a single menu item of a slider with some complementary items with it, we want that regionality also to pick up more customers. And it's pretty easy to see where you put down your big boxes, you put down your other QSRs. We're not focused on sitting next to a 5 sit-down restaurants with no QSRs, right? There, that tells you that it's not a focus for us. And what I would do is I look at it from an aerial, I plan it out, say, hey, here are the big boxes, here's the regional areas based on all the retail. But then also you got to look at it where the office parks, where the hospitals and such. And then you got to get in the car and drive it. And a lot of one mistake that a lot of retailers don't do, they rely on a program or a third party to say, hey, here's your criteria, this is where you should go. And I personally have always utilized the dollars that the company has invested in me to go become the market knowledge expert. And I always tell brokers they need to know a lot about a little, and I need to know a little about a lot. And so when I get out there, I drive, I confirm what I think, and then go and run my demographics and data and such. At the same time, I'm also looking to hire a broker. And I think I've heard Raising Cane's do this, and I think it's a really good idea. I've done it a few times in my life, and more so after I learned about it, is they have, when they go hire a broker, they go and ask 3 brokerage companies, here's Raising Cane's, build us our market plan. And then they decide who's closest and process it, pick their broker from after that. And I think it's really good. I like to think I know everything and I think I'm perfect at everything, but definitely not. And if you can't accept local brokerage knowledge, then it's going to be a tough job for you because you're going to have a lot of discrepancies. But I ask my brokers then to build their own, we compare, and then from there we start executing on finding sites. And I always think it's important where your broker is there to work for you, but at the same time, there's no point in my life that I can see if I was a broker, I would demand a retailer saying, give me the focus intersections that you want me to go to, because I've seen too many franchises and too many retailers just say, hey, we're opening up in Austin. Here's what we're thinking. And then the brokers just go and shotgun spray and waste a ton of time providing sites that aren't even going to qualify.
Yeah.
So I always think you got to provide the broker with a plan.
I train our agents the same thing, just from the other direction, right? If you don't get everything, start asking a million questions until you get what you need. Because you're right. If we start shotgunning and we start spreading around a ton of options, then it creates 2 things. One, it creates a frustration on the retail side of things. It's like, they don't get it. They don't get it, right? Why are they showing me this thing? They don't get it. There wasn't enough communication for me to get it, right? But it creates a bad impression on the other side, as if the broker just didn't get the concept, didn't get the vision. And that's just not a good place to be for either side, right? Of course, like I said, a ton of waste of time and energy, and nobody likes to do that. What is a great quality site for you guys? We talked about the size, we talked about dense retail around. Are you looking for a minimum vehicles per day on the street, or are you looking for any specific demographics in terms of household income or number of people in the household? What is like an ideal site for you guys?
Yeah, we've really started to narrow in on this. We've explored, we've seen what has worked and what is good at working and then what is not working. And my number one is go where people eat beef. Like marketing's going to go and do their job and market.
There
But
goes
do we have
California again.
there we go. So if you eat beef, you're our customer. It's not, to me, it's not that hard. Really, like I was saying earlier, it's there are a few metrics I look at. Household size. I think sliders, when I think of smalls, I get excited because I'm excited to try to get more soon to open up one by my house, but my kids love it. Kids love it in general. And what I love about it is when I'm driving through and it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and I missed lunch, but I know I have a dinner to go to. I can go get a Biggie Smalls, which is the 2 patties slider, and that's going to hold me over until dinner time. And it's not just a meal, but it's also a snack. In addition to that, what I love about it is like when I was a kid and when I was 12, 13 playing baseball, we always went to Pizza Hut, right? Because that's what we had. in a small town. And so we sat under the red roof and ate pizza. But what's exciting for Smalls is like that's the new modern Pizza Hut. You go get a party pack, you're feeding 12 kids all these sliders, and they're just sitting outside in the patio in their baseball uniform having a good old time. And the parents are relaxed and enjoying their meal also. So that's the vision I have that I get all excited about because to me, it is a concept that just isn't just one thing. It's yes, one slider, but it's not just one type of meal per day. And it's not just one customer, right? And so the part that I focus on is frequency. And that's why I said earlier, where's the local and the regional retail density? And it's because, yes, it's still a slider. It's no different than just eating chicken, right? How many times are you going to eat chicken strips a week, right? Burgers are the same thing where you don't have the frequency of that customers. Let's say they come 2 times a week and then now they're coming 1.5 times a week. Then we need to have new customers come in. Where the retail is, where is the office industrial park, where is the traffic coming through? I'm a little bit different in when talking about traffic. You may not ever hear anyone else say this, but I think traffic counts are subjective. I have seen roads that are 50,000 cars per day and no one stops. I've seen 50,000 cars per day and 25,000 of them will stop. And it's all based on traffic lights and is it a wizard road and such. And so I like, yes, I'm not going to go on a road that's 5,000 people or 5,000 cars. But at the same time, if it's 70,000 or 20,000, all I care about is am I able to get those people to stop? Is there a reason for that customer to stop their vehicle? And then same thing on convenience side. And having that density of residential surrounding you, having that density of daytime population coming to you, but then also how many times is everyone coming to you from a farther out distance? So that's the ideal. I know you're Texas. We're opening up just north of Memorial City today. That's our location that's opening. And we're opening up in Arlington on Cooper Street. You have the Walmart to the north, you have the interstate, you have daytime, you have a bunch of ball fields and soccer fields right behind us. We're getting the better of everything around us. That's the ideal.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that the traffic counts, right? Because you're right. If you don't have actual local knowledge, or like you said, get in the car and drive the location, a number is just a number. And I have seen those brokers that put a package out there and say, like, it's on the interstate, 20,000, 80,000 vehicles per day. Then you realize, yeah, but the interstate is on a bridge and this thing is like not even visible from the highway. And it's, yeah, how is that traffic count even helping me? So local knowledge or get in the car and spend time around there is super critical. And for that matter, do you guys lean on the franchisee or do you guys do most of the work on behalf of the franchisee? So let's say I want a new franchise from Smalls. Do I get to pick a location and bring it to you, or do you guys wrap it up in a bow for me and say, hey, here's your new location?
Yeah, we're an oversight model is the way that I say that. And so oversight model is technically per the franchise agreement, the franchisees are responsible to work or find a site, add a focus intersection of the market plan that I provided. And then, so like when potential franchisees come in, my slide says plan the work the plan. I'm providing the market plan to you and what to go do. Now you're going to go work that plan with the broker, and then I'm going to support you along that process. And so it technically is their responsibility. I always say, though, I have a control issue. I have, I think, a matter of 7 emails in my inbox right now because I always get it in and out. And I believe that we are all more successful if we have more support from each other. And with putting myself with the brand and being able to understand what I see from numbers and such, they don't always get to see that data, right? Because of franchising and liabilities and such. And so it's really smart for them to utilize me and so we do have a real estate acceptance process that they still have to provide the sites to us. But every franchisee that I possibly can, the broker, the franchisee, and myself are all in the same email, same communication, and we're knocking it out.
Yeah, that is a partnership. Sounds like that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And same thing, LOIs and leases, just knowing what the numbers are, but also I believe I'm really good compared to most on getting creative with deal points and thinking about what you said operations earlier, coming from operations. I think with an operations hat still
Yeah.
on, I don't have to worry about here, but like moving handicaps spots in front of your space and moving it over and doing all these little things of how am I going to maximize this site for us? It is up to the franchisee to present sites and pursue.
Got it. Okay. So one of the interesting trends we've seen in QSR in the last couple of years, give or take, is all the apps, the Uber Eats, the Grubhub, the DoorDash, and we're starting to see them consume more and more from QSR. It used to be just dining restaurants that would have a kitchen and a back door so the DoorDasher can come to the back and pick it up. And we're now seeing a lot more on the app encouragement of, oh, you got the sushi from that restaurant? Do you want a Burger King on the way? And stuff like that. And do you guys see that in your world as well? And do you plan for it on your designs, in your real estate figuration? What is your perspective on all that?
Yeah, so definitely. And we have it through our app and we have it through third party also. And we use a website that will disperse and it's like auctions it out, I guess is the right way of saying it, to say, hey, do you have a driver? Do you want to pick up this order? And I haven't been as involved on it as our marketing and IT department, and they crushed that for us. But it's definitely interesting to see. In addition to that, it's interesting to really for me to analyze the trade area along with the customers, along with what percentage of that is occurring, because you would think in dense daytime office and such, it would be a higher percentage than a residential area. But that's not always the case. And it's like, why is this one doing better? Why is that one not doing better? And then to your point, yes, inside we are configuring the kitchen to have a better setup for third party or for delivery purposes. We have a separate window now that we added so we could have a order take and then a handout. And then we do add 2 parking spaces for delivery purposes.
Got it. So it's great because you're a young brand and you're evolving at the same time this trend is coming in. So you can implement that into your design on the go versus now a McDonald's that's been in the same spot for 30 years needs to retrofit in order to support a new trend.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's similar to I was in a Jimmy John's the other day and they added the toasters, but they didn't have any room. So they had 2 power lines coming down in the middle of the kitchen area to plug in for this. And I'm like, are you going to redevelop? Are you going to remodel all of these Jimmy John's just to add this toaster in there? But yeah, no, and that's something like back in the day when I was doing deals for them, we always did 400 amps worth of electric because you never knew if you were going to need it. And it was
Yeah.
cheaper just to pay for it up front than try to do it 10 years down the road. And now look at it, I'm pretty sure that they're using over 200 amps at this point and probably paid off for a lot of franchisees. But yeah, you got to be thinking of not just today, but what is the future holding for you?
Yeah. Now I totally understand what you're talking about. When I worked for JCPenney corporate, we had to do a lot of weird retrofits when we needed new technology or a new setup or a new point of sale or all this kind of stuff required a lot of thinking and out of the box. And like you said, the Jimmy Jones coming in the middle, just because you have to fit in a world that existed for 30 years without that. So
That's
with
right.
that said, any other interesting trends that you guys see from your end that are coming in, whether it's retail specific or technology wise, that is driving retail?
That's a great question. I haven't really thought about that. I don't think so. I think our next opportunity is really just it. We just need to continue to focus on hospitality and to continue to make the right, fresh, made to order burger, right? And everything else work itself out. I think Raising Cane's has done a really good job of that. Just focus on what they do best and expand and get open and I think that's where we need to be with only 32 today. We can't get too creative with adding all services and everything else. So I think for us, it's just focus on the operations and open up the right locations.
Oh, I'm a very big fan of tunnel vision retail, if you want to call it. Raising Cane's, Chick-fil-A, you got those brands that they have 3 items on the menu, 4 items on the menu. You go to Raising Cane, they have 4 different items, but it's all the same thing. Do you want
That's right.
2 fingers, 3 fingers, 4 fingers of chicken? It's the same item in a few different variations, but it's the same item. So I call it tunnel vision retail because it's high focus and they don't go sideways. And it helps the brand because you want good product and good service. Everything else will follow.
That's right.
And I think that's pretty much one of the biggest winning formulas that ever existed in retail and restaurants specifically.
And what's exciting for us is we're improving every day. We just went to Taylor Grills that clamp down. And what's nice is if someone's coming through the drive-through, you know what they're getting. You don't have to guess if they're getting a number one through a number nine of a different concept. That could be a salad, it could be a burger, it could be chicken, it could be whatever the case. So from an operation standpoint and the efficiencies, we have improved and we can even improve even more. So that's where we really are focused.
Yeah. So let's flip the coin a little bit and talk about challenges. What is one of the most frustrating things in your world when you have to deal with? I know most of my retailers are hating to deal with parking. Like this parking has become the biggest nightmare of every retail broker in the world dealing with the cities. What is the challenge that you guys are facing and things that you would wish you would never have to deal with?
Yeah, because of our uniqueness, right? And our modular building is one sheet of metal. And with that, a lot of codes don't allow for sheet metal. And so we're working through that a lot of times. The one thing that we require is that the franchisor is involved when it comes to the design construction and the pre-app meeting. I had a civil engineer get on the phone on my first pre-app meeting when I started here, and he's, oh, it's a sea container that they sell burgers out of, and the city's face is just all like panic attack. And I'm like, whoa, 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 let's back up here a moment, please. And so ever since myself or someone in our design construction team has led those phone calls to make sure that they are aware that it's a modular building and how we set up. For me, it's always interesting because opinions, right? And I love to listen to people's opinions. I will always listen, but unfortunately, that's not what requires, or that's not what is deciding if we're able to open up our modular building with the CCAN on top with metal. It's what does the code say? And so that's always what I say is, hey, give me the code, let me see what we can do. And we've adapted with with the materials. We just won't do brick. And there are a few cities out there that we won't be able to open a smalls in today's environment. And if that changes for them, then we're hoping to compromise. But once we get on the phone with the city and we start talking through what is really the concern, how do we adapt to it and how do we partner? The conversation 99.9% of the time has led to us getting a deal done and getting through permitting. So the other one is, which I never thought this would be a situation, but color. Arizona loves earth tones. And I'm like, isn't the sun orange? Can we consider that a galaxy tone? I don't know. It's one of those that the orange, we call it smorge. Smorge is not always agreed upon in certain municipalities. And we have not strayed away from that at this point. That is our branding. And that's something I share with the city. It's like, yo, this is our brand.
Yeah.
This is how smalls. And it's really tough for the cities to deny that. It's really, you're taking away from that business. And so we've had to pass on a couple deals because they wouldn't allow the smorge. But in most situations, economic development people are usually assisting us through what we need to get done. So those are, of course, you have your SUPs and you have some of the drive-through menu distances and such that you have to work through. But it's not, it hasn't been that bad. It's probably removed us from 3 to 5 deals thus far.
Got it. Yeah, you would think that in the South that Whataburger did the work for you with the orange.
You would think so. I still remember my first red sign McDonald's. I still remember my first red sign Starbucks down in Florida. I'm just like, why? Yeah, I don't know if you remember in the 90s when every city and landlord went through the red signage because it was the brightest that you could see in fog or the farthest away. And so everyone had to have a red sign. And now you rarely see them unless it's from a building from long ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really want to be conscious of your time. Just like a couple of questions to finalize. What is a common mistake you see when it comes to site selection? Something that you've seen people do in the past and that's a no-no.
Emotions, number one, always emotions. My story that I share with people is I have this a franchise group here. They were supposed to go on tour with the broker. They had 10 sites. They looked at the first one, loved it. I knew the site already. It was actually in Houston. And okay, so let's go through these. How did the tour go? And we started talking through them and such. And we're talking about the first one. We just get to the number one. And I said, what about this? What about that? I wasn't in love with it by any means. And it's not that we wouldn't accept the site. It's just, I think we had better opportunities and I wanted to talk through. And I don't like to tell people what to do or my thoughts right away. I want them to think it through how I would think it. And so when you put that time and investment into a franchisee on the first time, it's going to eliminate time in the future, right? You can save time. And so I asked a few questions and they're like, maybe that's not a good site anymore. And then I said, okay, what about number 10, 2 through 10? And they're like, we didn't even go look at those because we fell in love with this one. And I'm like, well, get in the car, start driving because you need to go look at them. Yeah, I would say emotions is definitely the number one. No, not having a checklist. So especially younger tenants, real estate managers, associates, and such, having a checklist, always thinking what are the questions that I should be asking myself every time. I think you're not going to remember everything at every time, but if you don't have a checklist, but each time you go look at a new site, you're going to probably have a new question. I think mine is like 45 alone on the checklist items that I like to go through. And then, like I said, plan a work plan, be prepared. I don't necessarily think that everyone is prepared for what they're proposing with sites and such, and making sure that when you do that plan and making sure that you actually got out there. If you try to do it from an aerial, and I just had this happen the other day. I hadn't been to Bloomington, Indiana in a while, and I was given the site. I said, hey, franchisees, what do you think of this? And it looked great from an aerial. And then we got there and it sat down about 75 feet. And I'm like, there you go. That's why you don't do a job from an aerial.
Yeah, now there's no way to replace boots on the ground. It's just impossible. Not in our business.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. I really appreciate your time, Nate. It's been awesome. If people want to reach out, check in with you, ask a question, get a hold, maybe they want to get a new franchise from Smalls, how can they find you?
Yeah, Nate.Minnis, Nate, period, Minnis at smallssliders.com. That's 4 S's. A lot of people don't put the S on the smalls side of things. But that, or you can reach me at real estate at Small Sliders also. And then I'm also on ICSE and LinkedIn, and happy to talk and look at sites and whatever the case may be.
Sounds great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nate. And for you, the audience, if you want to listen to more of these great podcasts with great professionals like Nate, just tune, subscribe. We're on YouTube, we're on Stitchers, iCloud, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can consume a podcast, we're there. And until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you.